Alrighty, everybody, it's the Modern Native, and I've got your 4 best solutions for water filtration. I've mentioned this before, I'll mention it again, and I'll always mention it. The holy grail of water filtration is, for me, the GeoPress Grail water filter system. It's a built-in bottle water filtration. I went down to the lake and I got a bottle, the outer cup full of water, and then it's just a simple, sometimes it squirts at me, and this is old, so it's actually a bit slower. Oh, see, squirts at me. With a brand new filter, it takes about 8 seconds to do a full bottle. But this one is old. I've used this for a couple of years now. I need to get a new filter. I just can't afford it. But, bam. Taste test. Still works. So there you go. That is the fastest, easiest, simplest way to get filtered water out on the trail. Scoop by a creek, a lake, a freaking mud puddle, and this will filter it. So that is if you are ultimately prepared, you went ahead and bought that ahead of time, and you have that with you. If not, and you're somewhat prepared, and you have a kettle with you, you can boil water. You go down, fill it up, bring it over to the fire, and boil it. Now, there is some discrepancy about how long you need to boil it. Some people say you just need to bring it to a boil. Some people say you need to boil it for 10 minutes. I like to average it in the middle. Better safe than sorry. You filter it, or you boil it as much as you need to feel safe. Your next option is going to be making a geofilter. So if you happen to have a bottle with you, or find one, cut off the bottom, put a couple of holes in the top. Now this takes a little prep work because you have to find these items to be able to do this. You need moss, sand and stones and some soil, and charcoal, or char, which is pretty much just coals that got wet and they stopped burning before they burnt to ash. That's the best way to explain it, best way to make it, best way to find it. Find somebody's old fire pit, make a fire. But this is a nice system that you can set up. Now, I got a couple of different types of moss. I got some longer ones. I got some more compact ones. And then a really nice, tight-knit one. Now, this is about setting up layers. So, this will be at my top to catch the biggest debris. And then I'll have this in the middle with the charcoal underneath. So in the bottom, I'm going to want the tighter knit moss. Now, always double check your bottoms. Moss grows in dark conditions that are damp, so it's a very high chance of mold. This batch had mold on it underneath, and I had to pick it off. I missed a piece. So it's probably not the best idea to use this. But I wanted to show you, because this is a moss that people find all over the place. I think this is like a fern moss or something like that. So I'm actually not even going to use this. That had mold on it, and that's too risky for me because the wife is very sensitive. But these ones came out clean, no mold, nothing. So I'm going to break this into some pieces. And I'm going to take all of this after I get some of the debris off. And I'm going to pack it into the bottom here. And then, I'm trying to think of the order it's supposed to be in. and then it's going to be the soil. Try to find sand and small rocks. And then take your charcoal, your char pieces, make sure it's got a nice layer across it. Now, the reason you want char is because it's a carbon. So it's a natural way to make a carbon filter, which is what most water filters are made with. So this is going to be one of your best bets to be able to get a nice, clean, filtered water. And then we've got our thicker moss. Put that in there. So there we go. You have your geofilter. Now, geopress, geofilter. Two different things. But pretty much the same concept. And my shovel actually works as a perfect rack. This bucket is clean. And then you just have to try to make sure you don't contaminate your water by spilling lake water into your bucket. And there it goes. Now it may have a little bit of debris in it. Your best bet is to add a thicker layer of moss on the bottom, or if you happen to have a coffee filter, when you go to take your drinks out of it, or you can let it settle and the debris will settle to the bottom, and then you can get clean water off the top. But this should eliminate most of the contaminants out of your water. It goes pretty fast. It's really simple. So, as I said, this is if you're prepared. If you have a bottle, if you have a container, if you bought a grail, if you have a pot, this is how you can be prepared. Now, what happens if you find yourself out there, you need a drink of water, and you can't find a safe, clean drink that you are secure with? I have a solution for that as well. Stay tuned. But as you can see, that's actually coming out pretty clear, and it actually works pretty fast. So what do you do if you have nothing with you? You can make a coyote hole. If you're next to a water source that's not entirely safe to drink out of, but you really need a drink of water, you can dig a hole below the water line, about 10, 12, maybe 2 feet, whatever feels safe, as long as there's a seepage. It'll pass through the soil and the sand and everything else and go into here. Now, when you first do it, it'll be really murky. But if you let it settle, it clears up. Now, as I said, maybe a little bit farther would be your best bet. I didn't have much land space to work with, and I was doing this as an example. So make sure that you can make this bigger, wider, go a little deeper, and get a little bit farther away from the water. I'd say at least a foot or more. This was just my best spot, and it's easy for me to just fill it back in, cover it up with the rocks and the sand, and it's like I never did it. So, those are my best tips while you're out here on your adventures to find some good drinking water. So when you're out there adventuring, make sure you stay hydrated, quench that thirst. You get out there, be a native, and go beast.